Man.
Hey fam, down here, spirit of our ancestors, mobile, okay, did I say that right? Because I will jack a name up.
Don't worry about it. Mobile.
Don't worry.
Mobile.
Well, how you say it?
Because you know what? Because the way it's spelled, it's like
Oh,
mobile.
that
is mobile.
Everybody keep correcting me. It ain't mobile. It's mobile.
Mobile,
I'm like, no,
Alabama.
mobile.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm down here, Africa Town. Down here with a fellow Clevelander. Ohio in the house.
Ohio in the house. I am so happy.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Although I hadn't been back since my junior high days in FDR and all that different
Right, so
things.
introduce you to my listening audience.
My name is Alton Landry. I am, my family's from Mobile, Alabama, my grandparents and etc. And so I moved here like 12 years ago to trying to be a sparkle.
You moved back.
Yeah, it was kind of like, after grandmother and them died, somebody's got to come down here and take care of the things that they worked so hard for, So I came down here to be that person. It turned in from 6 months to like 12 years, but it's okay.
Was it culture shock?
It definitely was a culture shock. It's definitely different. I mean, a lot of times things are the same in other places. I just think that with Mobile, it was just a lot of remnants of the past, still going on and stuff like that. And it's just so small. Whereas if you was in New York, you could kind of escape to Queens if you didn't want to be in Brooklyn, or, you know what I'm saying? So if you was in Cleveland, you can run in Cincinnati, you can go hang out in Dayton. And so what I've appreciated in being in this place is a start of opportunities for these African Americans here in town. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, because like everybody know your business, and then you got to worry if you're dating your cousin.
Oh yeah, man. And you know what? There's so many words I hadn't even never paid any attention to, like incest and everything, until I moved down here.
They're like, boy, that's your
And then
cousin.
I came down here in the 40s, I mean, at 40 years old, I just was like, wow, what is that normal? Is that, well, I tell you what, back in the day, that was absolutely normal. We shared everything. I'm like, hey, watch out, man. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this powerful play, An Ocean in My Bones. How did you get involved in it?
Oh, wow. Oof. So I got a phone call that I needed to speak to Terrence Pike.
Did you know him before?
No, I'd heard a little bit about him, but at that time I was kind of withdrawn from the theater at that point because I had
Because you got a background in entertainment.
Absolutely.
Tell us some of the people you've worked with.
Okay, so first of all, I started out. So my mother lived in Dallas, Texas, and so it was suggested that I move there and start high school. And so I went to school with a bunch of people, such as Tammy, for Kurt Franklin and his wife. We all went to school out in Arlington, Texas. We all kind of I went to Carter High School, which is a famous school there. And then so when in the 80s, in 82, 83, as Prince had came out with Purple Rain, and breakdancing had became so prevalent, which, I had kind of learned the breakdancing thing in Cleveland. So there's a lot of dances that started out in the Midwest and in the North, and then migrate to the South a little bit late. But anyway, starting out with talent shows. I tell people all the time the reason why I think that a lot of my friends have been successful, like Van Hunt and a lot of different people, is because we all empowered each other.
Van Hunt dating Halle Berry.
Absolutely, which is a shock because we came up together. We started a group together when we were younger, and that was because a lot of Ohio people were moving to Texas because GMAC or something like that, different warehouses, and everybody had gotten an opportunity to kind of grow, and our parents wanted better for us at the same time. So we all kind of gathered together in this little town, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Fort Worth, and we all danced and sang. And the thing is, with me, I was kind of like following people's footsteps to play sports. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do other things in school, so I kept seeing the theater hall and just looked withdrawn, and I was like, I wonder what those people do in there, So I kept it a secret for a very, very long time that I was involved in wanting to do the theater. And so I got to New York. So on that tip, after high school, I started dancing for a rapper by the name of MC Breed. We all went on tour with Vanilla Ice. That's back in the day when Chuck D and Public Enemy was bringing everybody on tour. And so we were kind of like the opening act at the time. And then my group came together with my older brother named Lincoln. We call him Link. Daryl Delight Allenby, which is they both wrote My Body from LSG, If You with Silk, Also, Link came out with his solo album, which kind of didn't really get a boost because in the late 90s, the record labels started to change. The program directors at the radio station started to kind of gravitate toward the rap situation, where R&B started to kind of fade out. So they ended up working with Gerald Levert and all those different people, and I kind of worked in the business with Quincy Jones's label and stuff, writing, ghostwriting, and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it started. And then, you know, with the acting thing, I was on the Wayans Brothers set, working as a production assistant, Moesha set as an extra, just kind of scoping out what I wanted to do. Do I want to be a cameraman? Do I want to be a light man? Do I want to be an agent even? You know what I'm saying? In this transformation that they were getting ready to make, which I was telling another guy about the NAACP and the Urban League was really fighting really hard in those days to try to bring more black programming in.
Listen, they're still trying to get black people behind the scenes, more black programming.
Absolutely.
We're having a boom on the front end of the camera, but on the back end, there's still this huge discrimination.
Absolutely, but I'm seeing a little better than what it was at the time. We're still breaking down walls and etc. Yeah, and so also I don't want to forget that I actually was a intern for MCA Records back in the and where Puffy was one as well in New York, and I was one a street promotions guy in Dallas. So again, I've just been surrounded around entertainment all my life, and then and finally when I got to myself, I focused and said, you know what, I'm gonna do this theater thing. I love it. I love live performances. I love looking at people when I'm talking and stuff like that. And I come from a line of preachers, so I mean, what am I going to be scared
natural. It's natural. So you come full circle back to theater, and you get a phone call.
I get a phone call from a lady here, and she was like, "You need to talk to Terrence." So I called Terrence, and the funny thing about me and Terrence's conversation was when he said Cleveland, I said, "Uh-oh." And then he said, "Man, I went to Prairie View A&M," and I said, "My brother went to Prairie View A&M." "Oh, and I grew up in this little town between Houston and Port Arthur." And I'm like, "What is going on?" Okay. So then we get to talking, and then he had me sending a one-man monologue that I did by James Earl Jones. And he called me right back and said, "Hey, man, I got to have it." And I said, "Well, then, you know what? The Spirit has spoken to me also. I'm about to come with it."
A star's born.
Let's do this, man.
The synchronicity did not escape you.
It didn't at all. I was ready to go. You know what I mean? And I had taken some time off from the theater. You know, when you lose your manager, your mom, and stuff like that, it kind of like puts a little different perspective about what do I need to be really thinking about in life. So it took about 2 years for me to come back to the theater, and this is my entrance back in.
Wow,
So
and what a wonderful interest. I mean, like, you couldn't have picked a more
Did you enjoy the
powerful play. Listen, I cried the first time I saw it. I cried through the whole play.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It
trying to
touched
get.
me so deeply.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have any moments where this play touched you, where you...
All through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all through it. Even the captain scenes was really hard to gravitate. I mean, just to understand that these people were in just a little small boat underneath, crammed together. All the feces and all the things that they had to go on the journey, you know what I mean? And I can only imagine a few people jumped off, because I know I would have.
You think you would jump?
Yeah. I would have to say, man, no.
No.
I'm not doing this one, man. But anyway, but a lot of people probably thought the same. We always say what we think we would do in that spirit. But that part got me. And then the part that really got me was my part. Definitely.
Why
Because
was
I
that?
had to dip into that man's life and find out exactly his pains. I started with the picture. You know what I mean? His
And
eyes.
tell me who you played in the play.
I played Cudjoe Lewis.
And he's a powerful, he's one
Very
of the biggest
powerful.
figures in this scenario. He's one of the main figures
that organized
that
everybody
organized
together.
Africa Town, kept people together. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's powerful.
He's a beautiful person, man. You know, he's strong. He overcame a lot. Just coming over to the voyage and even landing here. You know, and then I got to read in the book and how he felt about his mama being away from his mother, and then me losing my mother. I was like, wow, that had to be hard. Really, really hard, because you know, me losing my mother was very, very hard. She was my best friend.
I just lost my mother. Let me tell you something. I never anticipated.
I always say that's
Could never imagine.
I always say, until that happened, I always would say condolences to those others, you know.
Yeah.
But then I found out the feeling that I had was that the ability cord wasn't it wasn't cut in the early part. It's cut when they go. You know what I'm saying? Like when they pass away, that's it. There is no more feeding and that kind of thing. You just gotta know that their spirit is here in the lives. So my mother spoke to me and told me, listen, you're in Alabama.
No, your mother spoke to you.
Spoke to me in spirit.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I used to laugh all the time when people say, I heard a voice, spirit spoke to me.
Oh, yeah.
But it's real.
It is real.
Really, yeah, it
Absolutely.
is real. Whether it's in your head or not, it is real.
Or even in your heart.
I've heard it outside of my head. And I know people call me crazy, but that's not crazy. It's real.
And it's
The ancestors are always with us.
always with us. And the thing is, when she passed, I was doing Othello with Shakespeare. It's a really, 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 really difficult thing. You know, you got to really be on it.
You're a deep guy.
But I could have dropped out. I could have said
Right.
I ain't going back to the show, whatever.
But what would Mama have said?
Mom would have said the show must go on. You're not going to stop this.
I raised
I'm
a
happy.
strong man.
I'm happy where I'm at. I want you to be happy for me. And I just used her through the whole entire show to bring the emotions that needed to be. And that's even in this, because Cudjoe had expressed that he misses his mama.
Right.
So when you saw me in that emotional part where that man told me, fool, I don't owe you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the line right before I get ready to explain that this is Africa. We named this Africa Town, home away from home.
Mm-hmm.
I mumbled off on stage, my mama. And I was crying because I understand where Cudjoe is coming from with missing my mama. I'm never going to see her again. But I have to now make home right here. And so, you know, I just figured I just used that energy and put it toward him. And I'm just honored to play this part. I met his family yesterday.
Did
they
you?
were just absolutely beautiful. And I was like, wow, I just want to cry. I said, I feel like I'm a family member now with y'all because I've lived his life, or I've lived in his spirit for maybe since the last show. Maybe it's going up to a year and a half or so that I've been kind of just thinking about Cudjoe Lewis.
Wow.
And man, if I could be half the man he is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
I'm not strong like
Okay.
that, but
Well, so you're back in the theater.
Back in the
Back
theater.
Where do you see your career going?
I'm hopefully to do more shows. Definitely want to do some one-man show stuff. I was telling to be not to be joking about it, but some things are just made for central casting.
Right.
And so when the incident happened in Cleveland, right,
What incident?
with the two girls that were found, that was kidnapped by the man, and the dude that said that he found them, I said, man, I got to do him as a one-man show. But I want to stick a janitor to it so I can tell a struggle.
And if they don't know this story, that's a story. We actually cleaned the costumes for that story, Abduction in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And that these this guy was holding these three young ladies in plain sight, holding them. They've been missing for years. He was holding them in a house on the west side. And this brother found them. She called out from the door, help, and he went and kicked the door in.
And that's the brother I want to play.
Oh, I can't think of his name. Oh, it's driving me nuts. I can't think of his name.
Because I could feel him in his interviews when he was talking about it. I mean, it looked like he was just shocked, you know, about everything that was going on. And what an experience that God had used you to be the one to find them. That's amazing.
That's a powerful story.
And like, he's not talked about enough.
No, not enough. He saved those women's lives.
Their lives.
He saved 3 lives that day. One of those
Absolutely.
girls is on TV right now doing
Right.
stuff for a local TV show. I know it's time to go, but
Okay,
being
I'm
in
sorry.
touch, you know,
That's
we got to do it again, but we got to
Definitely.
do this interview again. I know we're going to have another interview.
Absolutely are.
Good luck on
I'm on my way to
career.
Ohio in a few months. So
Come check
I'm
me out.
check
Come
you
look.
out. Absolutely. Thank
But
y'all
listen,
so much.
I see a brilliant career ahead of you in stage. I think I see it's powerful.
Thank you
for a
being
great
here.
interview.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.